expecting rain across most of eastern Australia during the next week. We'll get to the forecast totals very shortly. Firstly, though, let's recap 2018. Rainfall was below average across most of eastern Australia. That's indicated by the red shading. No surprise to hear that, considering we are in drought. And it was the driest year on record, that darker red area, in a small patch of northwest New South Wales. Rain totals there well below 100 millimetres for the year. On the other side of it, well, we had the wettest year on record for parts of the Kimberley coastline. For example, Broome picked up over 1,500 millimetres of rain. And generally, the wettest part of the country compared to average was through that central and eastern part of WA and far western South Australia. Over the past week, though, we haven't seen too much rain, less than a millimetre through most of Australia, just a scattering of storms up and down the New South Wales coast and ranges, and heavy falls, partly due to Cyclone Penny across northern Queensland. That bright red shows over 300 millimetres over the past week. Picked up some good storms, though, on Wednesday afternoon through the Blue Mountains of New South Wales. That shot from Katoomba. These storms dumped hail up to 3 centimetres in diameter, and we saw up to around 30 millimetres of rain. Just some good rain for some. We're expecting more storms along this trough during Thursday afternoon. Again, the central and also the southern ranges of New South Wales, they'll dissipate overnight. Cyclone Penny has reformed. It's well off the coast right now. We're expecting the system to start tracking back towards the Queensland coast over the weekend. Now, that scenario is not guaranteed. Our models, they keep changing their mind, but it looks like the most likely outcome will be a track back towards the coastline. Also, this band of showers and storms will track through southeastern Australia on Saturday and Sunday, although we're not expecting massive amounts of rain, and it quickly moves out into the Tasman Sea. But here comes Cyclone Penny, perhaps weakening back to a tropical low before making landfall, or it could be a weakest tropical cyclone. Either way, rain spreading through to the inland parts of Queensland through the middle part of next week. Let's talk totals then. We're expecting storms on Thursday along the central and southern New South Wales ranges. If you get a storm, you could get some hail and perhaps again up to around 30 millimetres of rain. Some light showers for the Queensland coast, and we have showers and storms across the northern tropics. That activity will continue on Friday, perhaps spreading slightly further south. A quieter storm day though for New South Wales, just the odd storm around the ranges, but if you do get a storm, you'll probably get more than 1 millimetre. And then on Saturday, we'll have some showers moving through Victoria. On the New South Wales side of the border, it's showers and thunderstorms, and that's associated with finally a cool change that will end the heat wave. Behind that change, showers continuing on Sunday for some parts of the southeast coast, and rain starting to pick up through central Queensland and spreading further inland and increasing through Monday. And again on Tuesday, fairly widespread rain through Queensland. Probably too early to say, though, exactly what area will pick up the heaviest falls. Let's put it together over the next 8 days. We're expecting widespread falls of 50 to 100 millimetres, the darker green through the top end, the northern tip of Queensland, and through central Queensland, we could actually see well over 100 millimetres of rain, but it all depends on the track of Cyclone Penny. Further south, widespread falls of around 25 to 50 millimetres for the southeast of New South Wales and the far eastern parts of Victoria. The number of fires burning across New South Wales continues to grow thanks to the heat wave, but also afternoon thunderstorms, that lightning acting as the trigger point for new bushfires. There's a shot of a fire that's burning across the central coast. This is taken from Soldiers Point looking south. This fire has burnt through over 200 hectares, but is not currently threatening any homes. Now, we do have dry conditions right now for most of Australia. This is the vegetation index from December. It has greened up thanks to heavy falls from storms up and down the eastern seaboard, but with the right weather conditions, we could see major fires essentially anywhere across the country, apart from the far northern tropics where we're out of the fire season. Here's the rain over the past week, less than a millimetre for most of Australia, and as a result, that vegetation will remain dry, or it's even dried out further. We've got a hot northerly today anywhere east of that trough line. Maximum temperatures in South Australia indicated by that darker red, climbing above 45 degrees. Now, the winds ahead of that trough will average up to 40 kilometres per hour today, and humidity likely to be below 10%. That will lead to elevated fire dangers. Behind the trough, a gusty southwesterly change averaging up to 50 kilometres per hour, and that will create a dangerous situation. It will move the fire front, change the direction of it, leading to what's known as a dead man zone near that front. A severe fire danger for the west coast of South Australia today, and also some parts of Western Australia. Now, the hottest weather on Friday will shift to Victoria and Western New South Wales, again climbing over 45, winds up to about 40 kilometres per hour, and extreme fire danger, the red predicted for the Wimmera and the Mallee, and severe fire dangers for other western and central parts of Victoria for Friday, along with eastern and central parts of South Australia. That's a day when we could see major bushfires, which will be moving quickly but be hard to control and unpredictable. We'll see a cool change by Saturday right along that southern coastline. Still a warm day though for New South Wales, although humidity is higher in New South Wales compared to Victoria and South Australia, which is why at this stage we're not expecting any severe fire dangers. On
On Wednesday, Sydney saw some spectacular-looking clouds, but modest clouds. Why did we see these? Well, in the Blue Mountains, at the same time, we were seeing intense hailstorms. What does this have to do with that? Well, hailstorms form in thunderstorms, right? It's one of the consequences of having severe storms at times. You get these large hailstorms, and that formed in the Blue Mountains. And then the anvil cloud of that storm then moved across the Sydney Basin and formed these spectacular-looking modest clouds. So let's recap how storm clouds form, right? So storms are formed by rising air in the atmosphere. As the air rises, it cools down and forms those large, towering thunderstorm anvils that you see. The anvil cloud, the top of the storm cloud, then forms, and that can be blown several kilometers ahead of the main thunderstorm. And as that anvil cloud forms, it can sometimes cool down. Now, if that cools down, it can start to form the modest clouds. It's sinking air. The modest clouds are interesting because they're actually formed from the top down. Usually clouds are formed from the base up, and it's usually associated with turbulence in the atmosphere. So this is the clouds that we saw right across the Sydney Basin on Wednesday. It was actually the top of a thunderstorm cloud in the Blue Mountains.
So convincing on price.
Really? Their price? Hotels combined price. Their price.
I have to say, these flip-flopping prices, back and forth, don't trust these companies. They're not what they seem. They're not. I got ripped off by one of those companies. You're better off just ringing the hotels, motels, and booking directly. That is actually cheaper. But $199, it does just so happen to be the value of the name of the mirror boy. 199. True. 199. That's the value of his name. So it's an important number, 199. Interesting little reflection. Victoria. Nathan's from Victoria. He's also from Darwin.
We all know Australia's the greatest country in the world, and in 2019, Paul Murray Live hits the road bigger and better than ever before. Every state, as many towns as possible, not just for an election, but for an entire year long. We want to make sure that we celebrate the good people. The Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison. The great stories.
This year's all about redemption.
The good people, Scott Morrison. The Christian Conservatives are not good people. They're anything but good people. Like I was saying, Nathan's from Victoria. He died in Victoria. He died in Black Saturday bushfires. Christian Conservatives are not good people because they're climate change deniers. That is understandably Nathan's viewpoint, Nathan's opinion. It's Nathan's words. Actually, Nathan's words are climate change deniers suck. Nathan died in the Black Saturday firestorm. Climate change deniers suck. Pretty simple statement, really. They suck. They don't care. You know who else sucks? Riley sucks, but in a different way. You know, Riley actually sucks in a couple of ways. He's a naughty boy. And Riley equals 69. I said Nathan is also from Darwin, as well as from Kinglake West. And that's true. He's a Darwin boy. Darwin equals 69. Riley equals 69. Someone else who died in that firestorm was Penny Chambers. Chambers equals 69. So Riley, obviously a 69 boy. If you flip that around, like a penny, flipping, like a coin toss. Why do I keep saying coin toss? Because I'm flipping the C and the T. TC, tropical cyclone. Penny is a coin flipped by Riley. Flip, 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 flop, flip, flop, flip, flop. What's it going to be, a flip or a flop? Is it heads or tails? Heads I win, tails you lose. That's what Riley said to Owen. Heads I win, tails you lose. It was heads. How do we know it was heads? We know it was heads up because Riley looked at the coin and saw his own face on the coin. First time he'd ever seen himself. Until then he thought he was a ghost. Ghost equals 69. Riley, 69. Riley decided then to be a pirate. Pirate equals 69. Boy Jake, 69. Chambers, 69. 69. 6-9. The 6th of the 9th. The Mirror Boy was born on the 6th of the 9th, 2002. At least one of the Mirror Boys was born on this date. Jake's Mirror Boy. William means warrior. Owen was by the pond. He was sitting by the pond when Riley came along and found him in the moonlight. He found his twin. He didn't know that Owen was his twin until he saw his own face on the back of the coin. And then he knew Owen was his twin because, wow, he looks like me. Owen was watching himself in the pond, watching himself in the mirror, because Owen had lost his echo. Echo equals 31, Jacob equals 31. Fet equals 31. Fet. See, that's something you're not allowed to do in Australia. You're not allowed to do weird things. You're not allowed to be weird. You have to be normal. You have to be a dinky die, fair dinkamozi. No, you don't, actually. That's the old Australia. And now you can actually be a little bit more different, and you can do that without having to live in fear. Not like the good old days. They talk about the good old days and good people who like to enslave people or coerce people, pressure people, put crap on people, make people conform to what they think is normal. That's not good. That's the opposite of good. You know, when you put people on an island like Nauru or Manus Island and just leave them there to rot, that's not good. There's nothing good about that. Jake says, refugee torturers suck. It doesn't matter how respected they are. It doesn't matter how high profile they are. It doesn't matter if they're a politician or if they're what they are. If they have the kidnapper mentality, if they have the mind of the kidnapper, they suck. Jake's words, they suck. Like Riley. Riley sucks, but in a different kind of way. Riley sucks in a couple of ways, actually. He's a bad boy. Perth. Here we go. Now we're talking air. Air. And Perth's down the bottom there. 1766. 17, Jake's date of birth. 66, the value of twin. Border village. Reminds me, border force. Yeah, the good people? No. Peter Dutton's not a good guy. He's a fear monger. And he's one of the people that seems to actually take pleasure in being cruel to people. It kind of comes through. Survivor equals 144. Nullarbor. 144 Ks till you get to the Nullarbor, if you're at that sign. Survivor. It's a TV show. It's also someone who survives something, comes through something. Is Nathan a survivor? Technically, no. He died in the Black Saturday firestorm. Technically, by the, the understanding, conventional wisdom, he's dead. He was in the dead man zone. And so were 119 others in that firestorm, 173 altogether. Now, I've been talking about a boy who's connected to Nathan, and I know he's connected to Nathan because he was born exactly 137 days after Nathan died. That number came up today in the cricket, the number 137. I heard it in the cricket. And reflections are interesting. The number of people who died in the Black Saturday firestorms, bushfires, all together. See, it's 12:21, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's the current time, 12:21, reflective number, like 2002, the year the Mirror Boy was born. Well, forgive me if I go astray, forgive me if I get distracted. It happens when you've got a mind like mine. It just goes in all kinds of directions. And you've got to try and pick a direction. It's like a maze. And you've got to try and pick a path of exploration, which is never easy. Because which path do you choose? This one, that one, up, down, sideways? Well, let's just stick with Riley, because Riley's our boy. Let's always come back to Riley. Riley, 69. Riley flipped the penny that he found in the pond. The penny in the pond. Pond equals 49. Bad boy, 49. Cute equals 49. Cute. Sign equals 49. 4 plus 9 is 13. Age equals 13. A-G-E. If you add up the letters, A plus G plus E, according to their place in the alphabet, age equals 13. Nathan was 13. And I was 13 when I had a weird experience in 1989. It was Wednesday, December 6, 1989, and I was at Western Park in Canberra. I was a survivor in the technical sense of the word. I didn't die. Nathan was a victim in the technical sense of the word. Biologically, he died. He did not survive Black Saturday. He did not survive the Inferno at Kinglake West. He was one of the 119 who died in that firestorm. Nathan Breeze equals 119. Survivor, 144, remember? Technically I survived. The weird thing that happened to me when I was 13, December 6, 1989, the aquarium man came up to me and said, "Hey, do you like aquariums?" He was like a salesman. Salesmen can be they can really put the pressure on you, you know. And I was the kind of kid who didn't really know how to say no. So I didn't know how to say no to this guy, and that's really what it was about. It was like his willpower versus my willpower. The mind of the kidnapper. They just want to have power over someone. That's what gives them their buzz. That's what gives them their thrill. The mind of the kidnapper is often the mind of the politician. The leader of a nation can have the mind of a kidnapper. They often do. Evil Dave Roberts. Evil. If you rearrange the letters in evil, you get live. Live. 1224. 2 12s are 24. The twins in Red Rain are 12-year-old Daniel and Samuel. That brings us back to Samuel, the boy who died, the boy who was born 137 days after Nathan died. 11/24, Nathan's date of birth. So Nathan died, Samuel was born 137 days after Nathan died. Death is birth, birth follows a death. So they say. So some people say. Birth. Birth equals 57. Daffodil equals 57. Owen equals 57. Mary equals 57. Mary. Marysville. Marysville was in that same firestorm. The Tower Motel survived in Marysville. It was one of the few buildings that survived that firestorm in Marysville. It would have been a good place to go, in hindsight, if you wanted to survive, because it didn't burn down. Why is it called the Tower Motel? Because it's got a big tower, a big communications tower right behind it. So it's a communications tower, it communicates. So what is Nathan doing? He's communicating. From where? If he died, how can he communicate? Well, the truth is Nathan is a survivor. Nathan is even more a survivor than me. See, I stayed here on Earth. There's a lot of people on Earth who have the kidnapper mentality, who want to have power over you, they want to imprison you, they want to, throw you in jail pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of people in jail in the USA, in Australia, you know, the freedom-loving lands of the world. Even those countries have a lot of people in jail. Go to China, there's millions of people kept in these vile concentration camp-like facilities. Re-education, they call it, re-education. So I don't care if people are Christian conservatives, I don't care if they're atheists. It's the mind of the kidnapper that I hate. And Jake shares my hatred of that mentality. Those who think they have the right to have power over others, those who get their buzz and their thrill from exercising that power. The worst of them are often politicians. Leaders like Vladimir Putin. Leaders like Kim Jong-un. Leaders who are dictators. People who just feel they have the right to tell other people what to do, how to live. I say you do this, you do it. You don't ask questions, you just do it. That's the mentality of the kidnapper. It's the mentality of the kidnapper. You just do what I say, you don't ask questions. Okay? You just do what you're told. Obedience. What's that? Obedience is fine if the person you're obeying is reasonable. But if the person you're obeying is not reasonable, then obedience is slavery. And therein lies the problem with religion. Because a lot of religious conservatives have a pretty narrow definition of what's normal, and if you don't fit into that little narrow bandwidth, well, they like to exert their influence to help you conform with what's normal. And coercion. That's what it is. They coerce people. Don't be fooled by this. Don't be fooled by this garbage. They don't save you money. They cost you more money. Just ring up directly. Ring the motel directly. Book it directly. Don't be fooled. So the guy who approached me wasn't that deceptive. He was deceptive, but it was more his willpower over my willpower. Because I was 13, I was raised to do what I'm told by adults. So when an adult, even a young adult, told me to do something, well, even though he was a stranger, he just had that authority about him. And I found it hard to say no to him. So that's the weird thing that happened to me when I was 13. And it brings us back to Riley. Because Riley is a prophecy. He's a prophecy that's connected to all the things that I've been talking about. But to explore all those connections is difficult in a video where I'm just talking off the cuff. Because there's so many different tributaries, so many different creeks and streams, and some of them become rivers, but some of them are just little creeks. And to try and explain them all is impossible because there's so many, so I just have to pick one or two. But I really just want to stick with Riley. See, Mammatus, I mentioned Mammatus clouds. Mammatus means bulbous, bulb. Riley is from the tiger lily. The tiger lily, orange, the spirit of the tiger. The next tropical cyclone to get named by Indonesia will be Lily. And Riley is of the lily. He's a lily tiger boy, a tiger lily boy. He flipped the penny because Owen said, "How do you know it's a lucky penny, Riley? How do you know it's not an unlucky penny?" Because Owen was insanely jealous of Riley finding the penny. Owen didn't even know the penny was there, but he's felt the power leave the pond. His power, his pond, his penny. How dare Riley come, a thief in the night, to steal his penny, right from in front of him? Finders keepers, says Riley. Well, let's do a coin toss then. Heads I win, tails you lose. Heads it was. It was Riley's face on the coin. Oh, I'm a twin. I look just like Owen. Owen the Daffodil Boy. Now we're back here. We're back to our air highway sign. Cool. Yalata. 53. That's the value of skin. Skin equals 53. Like the daffodil flower. It's like the skin of... Actually, it does feel like skin. Have you ever felt a daffodil flower? It feels a bit like skin. It's not a... It's kind of a weird thing to feel. If you've never done it, I recommend it. Border village. Border. The border. You're not coming across the border. You don't belong. You're not one of us. Stay over there. Don't come here. Yes, you do need borders, but you don't need to be cruel to people who don't have a home. People who don't have a safe place to live. People who have been terrorised in war zones. Wars that were perhaps started or agitated by us, like Iraq, which then spilled into Syria. Syria had its own problems, but Afghanistan, we didn't fix anything. Just a big mess. Just a big horrible mess. And when you're going to, if you've played a part in making a big mess, it's pretty rough to say, hey, you're not coming here. None of you are coming here. Now, we haven't said none of you are coming here. We do take refugees. But we also torture refugees. And it is torture to say to people, because you tried to come here by boat, you're going to stay there on that island for as long as we say, and we're not going to say how long it is. 12:21. We're back to that reflective time. We're not going to tell you how long it is. We're not going to give you a timetable. Just stay there. Just wait. And after 5 years, all hope is gone. Hope is gone. Hope dies. Hope dies after enough time of waiting, sitting, waiting. The kidnapper mentality. You know, border force, immigration, that's who banned my best friend from the country. They turfed another friend of mine out of the country too, sent him back to Brazil. Peter Dutton's not a good person. He's anything but a good person. He looks for reasons to be able to evict people based on their race. So if you're dark-skinned, you've got black hair, dark skin, brown eyes. If you're Muslim, then you had better be really clean. You had better not have any kind of offence on your record. And in Australia, let's face it, it's not hard to get a criminal conviction. Not hard at all. You don't have to do much. It's become a bit of a police state here. And at the end of the day, it might depend on the cop, but it might also be nothing to do with the police. It might be like a automated fine for something that you didn't even realise was an offence. Happens all the time. And newcomers to the country don't necessarily understand how things work. You know, when a racist just looks for a reason to evict someone, anything can become an excuse. He broke our law. Go back to Brazil. Go back to India. Go back to where you came from. We don't want you. You're a criminal. Actually, the worst criminal of all is the kidnapper. The person who deprives others of their free will. They're the worst type of person. They suck. Kidnappers suck. That's what Jake says. Climate change deniers suck. That's what Nathan says. Riley sucks in a different kind of way, because he's a 69 boy. Riley. Riley equals 69. That's what I mean. I'm not being rude or anything. But Riley is a 69 boy. It's 12:24 again. We're back to here. And that means we're back to the twins. The 12-year-old twins, Daniel and Samuel, from Red Rain. Now, they put me in a psychiatric unit after they banned my best friend from the country. After everything else I went through, like 13 years in the gay closet is a long time when you've got all the other crap to deal with. You know, life doesn't say, oh, listen, you've had a pretty bad thing happen to you, and oh, you're gay and you're in the closet, so we're not going to have any other bad things happen to you. You know, you get a leave pass from friends dying, and you know, another friend gets, you know, messed up in a car crash. No, you're not going to have any of those things happen to you, because you've already got your fill. You've already got your share of bad luck. No, the world doesn't work like that. It actually tends to pile on. If you've already had something really bad happen, unfortunately, the chances are something else will happen that's really bad. It tends to go like that. That's more like how it goes, because it's a prisoner planet. It's not a good place. And the people that they are often held up here as good people, they're often not good people at all. They're kidnappers. They're people who deprive people of their liberty. They're fearmongers. They want people to live in fear. And Nathan thinks they suck. Jake thinks they suck. And Riley definitely sucks, because he's that kind of boy. See, cyclones they kind of do suck, because they are quite strong, and they suck. And Riley is a tiger lily boy. The tiger lily is growing in the pond at Western Park. Now, the psychiatrists in the place they put me, I went there voluntarily, and then after I was in there a couple of days, they said, oh no, you're scheduled now. You have to stay here, because we've read through all the stuff you've given the cops, and we think you're crazy. We think you have schizophrenia. Because you seem to think, it really disturbs us, that you seem to think this thing happened to you when you were 13, and nobody else seems to believe it. And that wasn't true. My counsellor was horrified when he heard that the psychiatrist had said this to me. He said, I just can't believe it. He said, I wish I could do something so this didn't happen to you. Not the abduction, not the original abduction by the random guy in the park, but the second abduction by the professionals, the psychiatrists, and whoever's above them in the New South Wales government, the administrator, who decided, hey, this guy's annoying the police, let's put him in a psychiatric unit, and let's teach him a lesson, let's forcibly medicate him, and let's make sure he never bugs us again. Which I haven't. I've never gone back to the police again, even when I've known things about criminal activities. When I suspected I've known something, which has only happened once, but I didn't go to the police this time. Because they burnt my trust. And the police, not completely. I mean, I've known some really good cops over the years. So it's sort of like, yes, they burnt my trust, but there are still some cops I trust. But the government, they really burnt my trust. The Liberal Party, the Liberal National Party of Australia, deceptive, very deceptive people. Not what they seem. Christian conservatives are not good people. I think evil is quite fitting. If you're looking for a word to describe what they do to people on places like Nauru, I mean, when kids stop eating, completely stop eating, withdraw into themselves because of the way they've been treated by politicians, it's pretty evil. What's been done there is evil. It doesn't matter if they're not kids, if they're adults. I mean, there's people there that are now in their early 20s who were in their mid-teens when they arrived. They're no longer considered children, but they were children when they arrived. Unless you don't think 15 is a child. I don't know, maybe it depends on the situation as to whether you classify 15 as a child. It might depend who the person is. I'd say it would definitely depend on that. If you're someone who kind of goes along with the whole kidnapper mind mentality. Yeah, because they have no problem with abusing young people, torturing young people, mental torture, depriving people of their freedom and their liberty. See, what's important here is the river. Not the creeks, not the streams, not the tributaries, not all the little coincidences that are pointing to what's going to happen. But the river. The river is what's important. And the river is Nathan and Jake's message.
To international weather news now, and some impressive footage has come in overnight in Cyprus, where a waterspout started just off the north shore of the island. Now, residents and tourists visiting the island's north shore kicked off the new year by seeing this spectacular waterspout tear across the sea near a city. A local resident and weather enthusiast drove all the way from Cyprus's capital to capture the unusual water column forming over the cliffs and moving across the sea. Now, a waterspout is an intense column of vortex, usually appearing as a funnel-shaped cloud that occurs over a body of water. Some are connected to a cumulus congested cloud, some to a cumuliform cloud, and some to a cumulonimbus cloud. In the common form, it is not a supercell tornado over the water.
But what if it is a supercell tornado over the water? Then it really would suck. And now you know what I mean when I said Riley sucks. He literally sucks. Because Riley's quite capable, I would say. Riley, quite capable of putting down a tornado or two. You know, a bit rude, if you ask me. Riley's a bit rude. R for rude, R for Riley. See, kidnapper mentality. It's bad, it's evil. And it's often not what people think. One of the cops actually said to me, these people are not what people think. They don't have two horns and a tail. And that's true, they definitely do not. And the guy who approached me when I was 13, he was more like a businessman than anything. He was in his mid-20s. Hey, see the card on the donut? The donut is a circle. It reminded me of something. There's a song by Travis, a Scottish band. Travis. They've got a song called Side. And there's a motorbike in there doing a donut. What's this guy got to say? I want to hear it again. Because conservatives suck. When they do bad things, they suck. Kidnapper mentality sucks.
We all know Australia's the greatest country in the world, and in 2019, Paul Murray Live hits the road bigger and better than ever before. Every state, as many towns as possible, not just for an election, but for an entire year long. We want to make sure that we celebrate the good people, the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, the great stories.
This year's all about redemption.
That make this country something very special. So give me some ideas. Where should we come? To your place, our town, at skynews.com.au.
It's severe weather season, which for Australia means cyclones, bushfires, floods and storms. Always know what's heading your way with our expert forecast and live coverage when you need it. Sky News Weather, channel 603, or online at skyweather.com.au.
We all know Australia's the greatest country in the world, and in 2019, Paul Murray Live hits the road bigger and better than ever before. Every state, as many towns as possible, not just for an election, but for an entire year long. We want to make sure that we celebrate the good people, the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, the great stories.
This year's all about redemption.
That make this country something very special. So give me some ideas. Where should we come? To your place, our town, at skynews.com.au.
I'll give you some ideas, buddy. I'll give you some ideas. Here we go. Kangaroos. Kangaroos. There's too many kangaroos. I can even agree with that. There are too many kangaroos, but they're beautiful animals, nonetheless. There's too many people too. It doesn't mean, people are bad. Some people are bad. I suppose there's bad kangaroos too. Hard to pause on that. Very brief little snippet of kangaroo. But I want to pause on it because Karanga, the last tropical cyclone that was named by Indonesia, was called Karanga. And while we're minus 32 minutes on the rewind, I'll mention something else. 32 is the value of the word fate. It's also the value of the word life. Life. Fate. 32. It was also the number worn by Marcus Allen. And Marcus Allen played for the Los Angeles Raiders when the Raiders were in Los Angeles back in 1989. And Jacob Wetterling, he worshipped Marcus Allen, the footballer Marcus Allen. Worshipped him. You know, most people worship God, but Jake worshipped his favourite football player, Marcus Allen, who wore number 32. Marcus was the name equals 33, gay equals 33, and Marcus was the name Jake gave to his pet dog, named him after Marcus Allen, just like we named our pet dog Toby after I don't know who, but then we named another dog Serena after Serena Williams. Serena Williams, the tennis player. We've got another dog named Rafa. We've got another dog named, I don't know, tell me a tennis player. Roger. Yeah, we've got a Roger. So there you go. That's pretty common, I guess, for people to name their dogs after some sporting legend, sporting hero. Well, Jake worshipped Marcus Allen, had his posters all over his bedroom walls, and most people worship God, but actually God is like a hierarchical figure when you think about it. You know, top down, bottom up, top down, bottom up, if you've been a bad boy like Riley. Bottom up, Riley, you've been a bad boy. Well, lighthouse, there's something. Lighthouse. Lighthouse. Lighthouse, that's a big thing. That's a big symbol. So there's another idea. Lighthouse, dark equals 34. Dark night, lighthouse comes very much in handy. Sean Myrtle, the boy in the lighthouse, 16 years old, the same age as Jayton and Demas, the 16-year-old twins, who Sean meets inside the lighthouse. A story that's yet to be written, but I will write it. Sean Myrtle, Jayton and Demas. Sean discovers his sexuality in the lighthouse, explores his sexuality, doesn't just discover it, goes beyond discovery. Goes well beyond discovery. Naked equals 35. Naked. Image, 35. Dahlia equals 35. Dahlia. That was the name given to a tropical cyclone at the start of the 2017 season, if you know what I mean. Last tropical cyclone season, November 2017. End of November, Mount Agung was erupting in Bali. And Dahlia was named by Indonesia. And it wasn't until just a couple of weeks ago that we had another cyclone named by Indonesia, Karanga. Kind of reminded me of the kangaroos, you know? Karanga. And the Australian marsupial, the little bouncing, hopping, mad kangaroo. Not to be confused with the wallaby. Kangaroos, wallabies, hoppers, grasshoppers. We have grasshoppers. Hopping mad. Who is hopping mad? Maybe it's a frog. Maybe it's a green tree frog. Green tree frogs are actually quite nice. That's something I've realised. They're very nice. Very nice little animal, the green tree frog. And Western Park in Canberra is a very nice place. Beautiful place. And it's a magical place. And it's because it's magical that Jake was able to save me. Because somehow Western Park facilitated something. The connection that I've got with Jake. It could not have happened without Western Park. There's another magical place in Sydney called Vaucluse, where there's a lighthouse, the Macquarie Lighthouse. See, Riley sucks, quite literally. Have you ever seen a water spout sucking up the seawater? Pretty amazing. Riley is the next name after Penny on the Australian tropical cyclone name list. Lily is the next name on the Indonesian name list. So we had Dahlia in November 2017, back when Mount Agung was erupting in Bali. Since then we've had other volcanic eruptions in Indonesia. We've had big earthquakes. So we had the big earthquake in Sulawesi, and then Mount Saputan erupted. Before that we had Mount Sinabung. Mount Sinabung on the island of Sumatra erupted at exactly the same time that I saw a car with the number plate 337. Nothing else, just 337. The numbers that symbolize the name of the mirror boy William, one of the mirror boys. Hot equals 43. Nude equals 44. Nude. Nude. Ooh, nude. Means the same as naked. Hope equals 44. And 44 is a 16, the age of the mirror boy. 16 is the age of peak sexual virility. If you're a human male, you're at your peak when you're 16. You are at your sexual peak. You will never be more horny than when you're 16. Phil equals 45, that's me. Jayton equals 46. Demas, 46. Flash equals 46. They're Flash boys. Flash. Flash, Riley is Flash. Riley's a Flash boy. He's an athlete. He's a pretty boy. He's smooth because he's of the lily. He's strong because he has the penny. He flipped the penny. See the curve of the penny? The curve of the coin toss? It's right there. Penny, going backwards. The coin toss of Riley. Heads I win, tails you lose. Heads it was. And it was Riley's own head. His own face, right there on the coin. Just like Owen's face was on the pond. On the mirror. In the mirror. In the mirror of the pond. 49, bad boy. Sign, 49. Pond, 49. 4 and 9 is 13. Nathan was 13. Jake was 11. 13 and 11 are 24. Nathan's age, 24. Eucla, 342. 42, the value of boy. Western Park equals 142. Western Park in Canberra. That's where it happened to me. Magical place. Demon equals 51. Angelic's also 51. Devil is 52. Josh is 52. Riddle is 52. Riddle. The Mirror Boy likes riddles. Mirror Boy loves riddles. And indeed, it should surprise no one that the prophecy is a riddle. The prophecy of Riley, the cyclone, Riley, the bad boy, Riley, the Weston boy, Indian Ocean boy. He sucks. Riley sucks. He really sucks. Just ask Jake and Nathan, they know all about it. They've been watching Riley. And they're like, wow, this is one hell of a bad boy. What are we going to do? Because they kind of like Riley. Oh my GG. 55, Satan equals 55. Satan, heaven equals 55. Satan's the demonized bad boy of religion. That's who Satan is. The demonized bad boy of religion. Bushfires. Climate change. Global warming. It doesn't really matter what you call it, its impacts are exactly the same, regardless of what you call it. Makes no difference what you call it. It is what it is. Climate change deniers suck. People who are cruel to refugees, or refugee torturers, people who imprison people, who deprive people of their liberty and their basic freedom, they are kidnappers. They are torturers. They are bad people. Victoria. Nathan's from Victoria, he's also from Darwin. Darwin equals 69. Queen Victoria.